My father was in the army and he got offered a job when I was 16 and a half. He got offered a job and we weren't allowed to take children. So I was packed off to my sister's in London, who was just a tiny bit older than me. So I came over to London. I stayed with my sister probably about 2 weeks and I fell out because she couldn't cope. She was only a few years older than me. So I walked out. I walked out of the house and I ended up in King's Cross. That's how I became street homeless at 16 and a half. At first I thought, oh, this is great, you know, I've left home, I'm a teenager, I'm having parties, I can do what I like, and it was, for the initial few months it was actually fine. And then, you know, it started slowly to sink in that actually it's not fine because I'm quite vulnerable. I had a lot of people trying to hit on me, a lot of men trying to talk to me and make friends with me. But I soon found out that, you know, I couldn't be on my own because I was feeling extremely frightened and scared. So I was on the street from 16 and a half to about 19 years old, actually physically on the street, sleeping in doorways, sleeping rough, on a sleeping bag, just sleeping around people that I felt safe with because I didn't want to be on my own. It was a very frightening time. At night time, we stayed up most of the night. I personally was too frightened to go to sleep. And not only that, if you had any possessions when you're out on the street, which, you know, obviously can't carry that much around, but if you had any medication or any possessions, people used to steal it, which is another thing. People used to steal anything they could off you, even your shoes if you took them off, so you had to be really careful. Night time was a dangerous time. That's when everyone was out, you know, looking to find drugs or whatever. So most of the night we just stayed up. In the daytime we'd sort of try and get a little nap here and there, but sleep deprivation was a really big thing. I found it hard to concentrate as well for lack of sleep. Because it's so hard out there, when you self-medicate, when you have a drink or you take, smoke weed or something, it just stops you thinking about all the crap that's going around in your head because it's really soul destroying to be on the street. It really is. And if you don't have a drink or something, you'll end up committing suicide. That's how bad it is. You can get so low, lack of motivation, no hope. But having a drink or, a smoke or a few pills kind of makes it a little bit easier to cope with. I used to catch colds a lot. I used to have really bad breathing problems at one point. I got bronchitis to start with when I was first out on the street because I smoked as well. So the cold and the pollution and everything you're out in constantly didn't help. Very bad feet from walking and getting wet and cold. Your skin would peel off. It's really painful. So it was hard to walk. Sometimes you couldn't even put your shoes on because your feet were swelling up. Obviously woman problems, period poverty. You couldn't afford to buy anything when you're out on the street half the time. So that was a really difficult time for women as well, keeping clean. Well, I did try and myself, I tried to register with a doctor, but they weren't having it because I had no address. I think things may have changed a little bit now, so I couldn't get to a doctor. I went, I think, to a mobile dentist once and I went there, but they weren't I just felt that they weren't really concerned for me at all. They just do the basic stuff, and because I was homeless, they weren't really interested in me as a person. Same with most of the services I went to. I found that people, they'll give me clothes and they'll give me food and stuff, but they wouldn't actually help with anything else, any other problems I had, like anxiety or depression. I got offered tablets for depression, but that's not going to help. A lot of these people, they just want to sit and talk, I've had lived experience and I've sit and talked to people, and even talking to people and knowing that someone is listening to what is wrong and what's happening to you is a massive help. So it's just lack of compassion, lack of empathy. My journey out of rough sleeping was quite a hard one, but I did get accommodation, so I had a roof over my head, which is a start. But that's all it was, a start. People do need help. You can't just put someone in a house who hasn't had one for years and put a roof over their head and expect everything to be hunky-dory. It's not going to be. There's a lot of other issues that have probably caused that person to be in that situation. And, you need to find out. They need to find out what the root cause is. So I've now got a job, a fully paid job, as a Lambeth homeless healthcare navigator in Brixton, which is absolutely great because this allows me to help people with their health, and also people with dual diagnosis, people who are suffering from addictions and mental health issues. So it allows me to, you know, signpost and refer people to the relevant services so I can offer wraparound help, which is something that I'm really passionate about because it's taken me so long for me to get my life on track, and I know it can be done. And, you know, just being able to draw on my life experience, because I've been on both sides of the fence, is absolutely my biggest passion ever. So to help others. I mean, I'm not an expert on their experience. I'm only an expert on my experience, not theirs, but then I can understand what they're going through and I can feel what they're feeling, which really helps me in my job role.